Science of the Southland number 263. I know me and Jake promised Akshay last week, and guess who's not here? Akshay. Oh well. But we'll get him back eventually and have the three of us back together. We're going to talk about some hockey today, softball, baseball, basketball, swim and dive. Actually, no swim and dive. That hasn't happened yet. Some miscellaneous things. But the headline here today is we've got Andy Hildrum and Zach Keschner from the Georgia Tech Club hockey team. Y'all, thank you so much for hanging out. This is a treat to have y'all.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thank you
thank
for
you for
having
having us.
Uh, for the uninitiated, because I know not everyone that listen, a lot of our listeners are tech folks and whatnot. If you weren't a tech person, you probably don't listen to this in the first place. Anyways, but just for the uninitiated who never got to watch y'all's games or learn about the team, just give us the lowdown of like what club hockey does at Tech, where y'all play, who do y'all play, how y'all are organized and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, I can go ahead and kind of start off. So we're a club sport under Georgia Tech. Most of well, there is no ACE or NCAA hockey in the South or like the West. So basically, all the Southern teams are club teams, everything from UGA, Florida State, UF, Ole Miss, all those teams. Currently, we play there's two big club leagues. There's the ACHA and the AAU. Most of the South is under the AAU, and that's currently what we're playing under. And we're in the Conference College Hockey South, the CHS. And so we play teams in there like UGA, Ole Miss, Clemson, Middle Tennessee State, Huntsville, Florida State, UF, all those teams. And right now we're D2 in that. Next season, we're planning on moving back to the ACHA under the conference, the ACCHL. So we'd be playing more of those ACC opponents like UNC, Duke, Wake Forest, all up the East Coast, stuff like that.
That's cool. That's cool. What all prompted the move? Because I know we play Georgia every year because it's Georgia and whatnot, and there's been some usual teams. But what got y'all to be like, okay, this makes sense for us going forward as a team?
Most teams are now moving out of College Hockey South, at least in the division that we are in, to move to the ACCHL. While the ACCHL is affiliated with the ACC, it's loaded with teams just in the Southeast, pretty much. Georgia's moving there. We're moving there. A bunch of SEC teams. I think Alabama's moving there. Everyone's moving there. So we decided like we weren't going to stay in a place that, there was no teams playing. And also we hope will open up some more opportunities for, possible exposure. I think we're hoping to get some games streamed nationally in that league. So,
Nice.
it provides us a really cool opportunity to, play a lot of different teams in the ACC and, expose our team to more people.
Yeah, the ACHA, just to add on to that, the ACHA is kind of the older, more established, and a lot bigger of a league.
Mm.
So, with the ACCHL, they have a good relationship with the ACC NCAA conference. So they have a few games. We're hoping to have a few games at least streamed on ESPN Plus through the ACC network, and
Nice.
they also have some cooler opportunities for doing some like outdoor games and stuff. But we'll hopefully continue to compete, and we do the Savannah Hockey Classic, and that's I guess under College Hockey South now. So that'll hopefully continue too.
I was going to say that was my biggest question moving forward because I know that's, traditionally been I guess SEC, HC before all that. I don't know. Maybe that shows my age because I remember when the whole league got scooped up and went over to College Hockey South in the first place. But I know Savannah's a pretty big highlight for a lot of our listeners being, at least club sport curious. Jack and I are club sport alums, so we kind of just, talk about it because we like it. But between Savannah and some of the opportunities you guys were mentioning, it sounds like it's a way to continue what you guys have done that works really well and people really like it, but also get you some more opportunities, which sounds like a win-win to me, honestly.
Definitely,
We're
yeah.
uh, we're excited for sure.
If I can
Nice.
watch it on my TV, that's a big step up for I assume a lot of people. Let's talk a little bit about y'all's season. Yeah, record obviously probably isn't what y'all were hoping. Once I checked, it's 5-15, 2-1. But I guess just take me through the story of this team. Like what did work with this team this year? And just yeah, lay it all out there for me.
Yeah, I mean, if you take a look at our record at face value, it's obviously like not great. It's not what we were hoping for coming in. I'm a freshman personally, so coming in, we had a really big freshman class. I think we started out with like 9 freshman guys who were all
Wow.
like on the roster and like playing relatively every game. So we have, I think, probably the youngest team in our conference, if not like the entirety of College Hockey South.
Hmm.
But yeah, so face value, our record not great. But I mean, if you look a little bit deeper into a lot of our games, it's like 1 goal, 2 goal games. We had a good run against Auburn. We lost like 3-6, and they're a D1 team. And I think we had the lead for most of that game. We gave up one against like Kennesaw State D3. We had a couple really close games recently against Clemson. So, I mean, I don't think we've been playing bad overall. We've been getting outshot a lot and ultimately like getting outscored. But it hasn't been like blowout after blowout. We've really only gotten
Mhm.
blown out like once by Georgia.
I gotta ask. A name that flew off the roster when I was looking at it before the call. Does Patrick Sharp wear number 10 on purpose?
I think so, but
Okay. I'm a Chicago Blackhawks fan at heart, so I was looking at the roster. I was like, I haven't really gone deep on this in a minute. Are there any other names that you want to like put out there? As like, these are, it doesn't have to be a freshman, but somebody to watch going into nationals, somebody to key in on.
say Germ, our goalie, he's kind of
Okay.
carried us the whole way. We definitely are not, the best team at not giving up shots. We give up a lot of shots every game, but part of the reason we can do that is because we have a goalie that can bail us out and steal games for us. He's
Cool.
played incredible all season. He had some of his best games down the stretch as well. We played Georgia at Gas South recently. He played a great game there. Tennessee, we almost beat them 2 games, and he kept us in both those games. So as long as he continues to do that, and doesn't end up breaking down, we have a good shot, I think.
Yeah.
He's kind of been the
I mean,
backbone of our team.
yeah, Brendan Germano. I mean, he's definitely the backbone of our team. He's our captain. He's a grad student, so he's probably the oldest. I think, yeah, he's the oldest guy on the team. Actually, we have another grad student who's a little older,
Bobby.
but yeah. But yeah, he's definitely the backbone of our team. I mean, in a typical hockey game, for like the listeners that don't know, like a lot of shots is usually around 30, and we were averaging like 50 for a few games. And I mean,
Ooh.
he's saving at least like 45 of them, which is
Damn.
insane. And I mean, in a 2 game weekend and a 3 game weekend, that's like 150 shots in a weekend. That's a lot of work for a goalie. But yeah, I mean, he keeps it together. He's composed. And as for other players, I mean, um, one of our lines, we got Cullen Dorcas and Jack Golick. They're big goal scorer guys. They're both sophomores, out of up north, Minnesota and Chicago. They're uh they're always on the score sheet, it seems like.
I love it. I'm looking at the roster, and it makes sense why I'm not seeing much Georgia on here because we don't really produce any hockey talent whatsoever. So what that led me to think is are a number of these guys that could have probably played at a in the NCAA but at a lower level and just decided to come to Tech because that's just where the future ended up making more sense to them and could still have a chance to play.
I'd say a few for sure, but that path is through juniors most of the time.
Hmm.
So, a lot of the kids that came in at, 17, 18, if they wanted to play maybe low level NCAA D3, would have to go spend 3 years playing juniors to go, play at a school that is, nowhere near the level of Tech academically. So,
Right.
for some people that's appealing, for, people that, you know, just love hockey and have less of a care of where they go to school in terms of academically and care more about, just fit and hockey.
Hmm.
So I think for a lot of our team, they chose to go, they applied to Tech, got in, and, it's kind of a no-brainer as opposed to, playing 3 years of juniors to go, you know, somewhere they may not really want to end up.
Right.
It's even more ludicrous than the swimming route. At least with I haven't been a swimmer myself, it's you just kind of go, okay, it's either go D3 or, apply somewhere you want to go. The hockey junior aspect, I don't think there's really anything like that in North American sports.
Yeah.
It's pretty unique and
Yeah.
it's interesting.
I think that kind of speaks to like the growth of club hockey in general too, because I mean a lot of these
Mhm.
big schools like Arizona, Arizona State, Georgia, Florida, like big SEC schools, big schools out west, like they're getting really good club hockey programs because there's these kids who are like, I want to keep playing hockey. I've played hockey at a competitive level all my life, but
Hmm.
I don't want to go
Yep.
to a random D3 school in like South Dakota or something, So
Yep.
Right.
they're going for
Yeah.
academics, they're going for a bigger school experience, but they're still playing hockey at a high level.
I mean, you also have teams like UNLV who's beating Denver in scrimmages, and
Oh my
while it's
God.
still while it's still a scrimmage, at the end of
Yeah.
the day, you have at the top level of club hockey kids that you know pretty clearly could play NCAA hockey, but are choosing club hockey because of a lot of different reasons, but also, it's great thing about playing college hockey in the South is the fan base and the exposure you can get, as opposed to, I have a lot of good friends that are playing at different D3 schools that are averaging, 50 to 100 fans a game. And, we're going to play at arenas with a few thousand
Yeah.
different occasions. And, that's really cool for us because it's, while it's technically lower level than some NCAA 3, we have a fan base that can come cheer us on that we can hopefully give some enjoyment to by playing. So it's a really cool opportunity as opposed to some of the different small D3 schools.
I this is not the first time I've thought about this question. I put it out there. What? You guys are probably the third, fourth most competitive league in the state of Georgia, right? You got some minor league pros, but after that, what? It's you guys and UGA, and like that's the top of the pyramid. I
Yeah,
mean, there's
it's the
no
glad. I don't know.
there's no
Yeah,
Thrashers.
I don't
There's
know what's
no
been between y'all and the Gladiators.
yeah.
I don't think there's. I don't
Yeah.
not if there's other minor
Well,
leagues, I'm not aware of them.
yeah,
It's a huge market.
there's like five main professional leagues in America. There's NHL, AHL, ECHL. That's kind of like tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, and they're like all have affiliations with each other. It's like
Right.
baseball or whatever, where they can send them down to the minors. And then past that, there's the SPHL, which is like the Southern League, which we have teams in there. We have Macon in there, and there's also
Okay.
teams like Birmingham and stuff. And there's also the FPHL, the Fed, which like that's what the new Athens team is in. There's also a team in Columbus in that. So I guess there's
Got
technically
it.
like
Okay.
one or two tiers between us and the Glads. Yeah.
Got it. Okay. Cool. That
Yeah.
makes a lot of sense. Um,
Cool.
yeah, this is very enlightening for me, having watched approximately, I don't know, 10 hockey games since the Thrashers left Atlanta, and half of them being USA Canada games, including the two in the last month or so. So it's all I that's just yeah. All this is I love hearing just how much more widespread it is than one baseball swimmer guy would be led to believe. Also, Jake, that idea of like kids just coming and swimming for us because they could come to Tech and swim. That's once I saw I was on the E relay. That's when I knew my time was up. That's
Well, and it's a microcosm of exactly what, like, I don't know if you guys saw this, but the Wall Street Journal put out this big article during football season about kids from the North coming to the South. And I'm from Chicago, so that did the same thing where it was, pack up the bags, go down to Atlanta and study engineering, that kind of thing. But it's just a microcosm of that same scale there. I do want to bring it back around because I do have a Nationals question for you guys before we get too far away. And I will preface it with the reason I got into Georgia Tech hockey as much as I did is because the Blackhawks fell off a shelf promptly after I got to college and have not been all that good since. So thank you guys for that. In terms of teams that you're expecting to bump into in Jacksonville, is that going to be similar to your schedule, your usual cast of characters, Tennessee, UGA, Florida, that kind of set, or is it like those guys are all somewhere else and then somebody else has come to Jacksonville? What is
Yeah,
that?
so it's going to be completely different. Our
Okay.
schedule is Bishops, which is a Canadian team actually.
oh
Uh, it's Mass Maritime and SUNY Brockport, I believe. So
Okay.
we're in the interesting position right now. We play in Division 2 of College Hockey South, but a
Mhm.
majority of our games are against Division 1 teams. So while our record doesn't look super pretty, the reason we got to nationals with that record is because it goes by strength of schedule, and we're playing 3 games against UGA, 2 against Tennessee,
right.
who are
Yeah.
at the top of Division 1. But so the cool thing about going to nationals is we play pretty much exclusively teams that we haven't seen before. Maybe we'll get, you know, ideally if we make it out of our group, we can maybe see Middle Tennessee or Ole Miss. I think are the two that we normally play. They're also coming to Natties. But besides that, it's going to be a whole new cast of characters, which it's pretty interesting. Teams I've never played. It's my second year here, Andy's first year, so
Yeah.
we've never played. I don't think anyone on our team has played any of these teams that we're playing. So So it'll
Wow.
be fun.
That's fun.
That's
That's
cool.
cool. Nice. Love,
Shakes
love
it
to hear
up.
it. And y'all did beat Ole Miss this year, so hey, that wouldn't be a bad
Yeah.
rematch, I guess, if it comes down to it. That's super cool. I have to ask about Eva Erickson before I let y'all go because I'm a massive Survivor guy, and I assume that's been a big thing around the team
Yeah.
with the show coming out this spring.
Yeah. I mean, most of us haven't played with her because she was here a few years ago. We have a
Right.
couple seniors who played with her, and one of the guys on our team is actually dating her because they both were at Brown at the same time.
Right.
His name is Paul Molnar on our team. He went to Brown as an undergrad and then came to Tech here for his master's. And then Eva Erickson, did the opposite. So she was at
Huh.
Brown for her master's, and they ended up meeting, I think, at Brown, not at Tech. I'm not exactly sure, but I mean, yeah, it's a big buzz. We've gotten a lot of publicity from it, which has been great. A lot of
Awesome.
recognition from the school about GT hockey and stuff, which has been awesome. And I mean, we've been cheering her on in the show. It's been funny. Locker room talk. It's always been like, we got to place a parlay on it. We're trying to get Paul to tell us who's gonna win. He won't tell us. He had to sign an NDA.
Yeah, no, those
You know,
NDAs are. I've seen. I've talked like the guy who used Tech's first competitor, Carson, a couple of years ago. I talked with him, and it was like very strict rules about like how and when I can talk to him when the show's airing, and then what I can't even talk, how much he can't even talk in the year after the show comes out because the NDA has a pretty long shelf life relative to when the finale ends. It's a whole thing. So I don't envy Paul's situation of knowing a lot of things and not being able to say anything, especially
Yeah.
if she happens to be a millionaire right now and no one knows,
Yeah.
except the
I mean,
immediate
if
family.
you see a new GT hockey rink being built, like just don't ask any questions. You know.
I know we won't say anything. We
Yeah.
won't say anything.
Jack, put it on the connector cap, you know.
Yes, exactly.
No.
No, it's cool. Awesome. Well, thanks for Zach and Andy. Thanks so much for coming on. I know we'll have plenty of folks that will be coming out to your games. I need to make a priority for myself next year for sure because I have yet to go to a game. The poor
Jack, we can go together and you can wear my other jersey, you know.
Hell yeah, awesome. Yes, I outgrew my Thrashers jerseys, so I can't exactly wear them up at the icebox. So y'all, thanks for showing up. Y'all are welcome back anytime next season. And good luck in Jacksonville.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, thanks for having us, guys.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to baseball. So we played Kennesaw State on Tuesday, got an 11-4 win. It was pretty good there. And then we got a series win. Cardiac Jackets back in full force at Virginia Tech. Won 4-3 to start, lost 8-5 in game 2, and then today pulled out another ninth inning win, 8-6. Jake, I know you watched the first 2 games. I was sort of tracking game 3, but this is I think we probably would have wanted to play a little bit better, but the pitching for the most part's where we need it to be, and the bats did just enough this time.
Yeah, I would say that watched is a generous word. Listened is probably more accurate.
Oh, that
I'm
works.
a
That works
guy
too.
who loves to consume baseball on the radio, and it was a beautiful day to be doing yard work yesterday. So I was in the
That it was,
drainage
yes.
ditch next to my house weeding. But I would say that none of these games were all that comfortable for either team. I don't think Virginia Tech was likely all that comfortable in their win on Saturday. I'll start with just some quick notes on Friday's game. Georgia Tech did tie the game up in the take the lead in the fourth, I should say. It was a back and forth game. Tech trailed by 1 after bleeding that run back and forth, and then another in the fifth. Where that gets, I would say, super important is Mason Patel. 4 2/3 innings, scoreless in relief, 1 walk, 2 strikeouts, 18 at bats, and 17 faced. Yeah, that's pretty darn good.
He keeps doing this. He just keeps just mowing guys down anytime we throw him out there. It's amazing. It's the Tate. Only him and Tate McKee pitched that game too. Like that was a 2-pitcher game for us. Which, hell yeah, man.
I mean, Tate McKee, three runs over 4 1/3, not ideal, but also not not the worst thing in the world. There were
we should be able to
only
put up
2 of
3
those
runs.
runs were earned. So I think he called a fine enough start. But Mason Patel, story of the season.
Absolutely.
The fact that he is essentially a fourth starter to be deployed at any time.
It's
I think
turning into
is
he's the Kinsey Norton of this team. He's just doing the second half of games when the starter just runs out of gas and just finishes.
Well, he's scarier than Scary Terry Busey
That's true.
if
Yes, yes,
because he
he
can
is.
throw more than one inning, and
That's
that
right. Yeah,
and I think where that and we'll talk a little bit more about this game as well as the other two, but where that gets a little bit into my apprehensions, if you will, is Georgia Tech comes back late to score 2 runs in the ninth, top of the ninth, on Friday and get the win. Um, you kind of burn Patel in the first game of the weekend for
yeah.
the entire weekend. And granted, this pitching staff's better than it's been. I think that is undoubtable. They were very solid this weekend. Granted, 6 runs, 5 runs, 3 runs. That's a lot better than Tech's staff has been against even this particular VT team in recent
Yeah.
years. Tech got
Right.
excuse me, swept up in Blacksburg 2 years ago, and it was not a fun experience, I think, for the gang. But yeah, all that to say, Cardiac Jackets Friday night. Tech had 9 hits. That is definitely something to flag up there with 7 walks as well. They just could not push a run across. They
There
had
was so
11
much of
men
this. Oh my God, there was so much of
they
this
had a,
going on.
they had
Yeah.
11 men left on base, and then another 7 in a 3-run loss on Saturday, and then another 11 today. It was certainly a story of the year, and the wild thing about it is they're not hitting badly. If
No,
you
not at
look at
all.
the season averages from after today's game, every player in the starting lineup is hitting 286 or better. That's really good. That
That'll
Vaughn
work.
Lackey's
Yeah.
hitting 433 and
Yeah.
everyone else is in 300s,
I was gonna bring
like
this
it.
up. Yeah, we had Lackey hit 500 in the series in 12 at
Hmm.
bats. As a
Hmm.
team, we had 276 to Virginia Tech's 213. So speaking to like the hitting's there, and the pitching is
Yeah.
doing well enough to give us a distinct advantage in this department as well.
And
We had 6 doubles, a couple dingers, including
things Tech needs to not do on Friday is not give up 2 errors. That,
right.
obviously you can't really expect a absolutely perfect game every time, but that's
Yeah.
what kept Virginia Tech in the game. More critically, um, Brady Jones, in his start on Saturday, I would describe as struggled. Um, 2 innings pitched, 3 earned runs, 4 walks, and only 1 hit allowed. All 3 of those runs came in the second inning, and they seem to imply 2 things, which may be mitigating factors. One, the zone was all over the place. Virginia
That
Tech's
doesn't help. Yeah.
staff was very angry about it. I know Danny, it sounded like was out there having words for it, and
Mm.
the radio call so polite. It can best be described as abstract, I believe was the phrase used
Ah,
for used for the
abstract.
zone.
That's
But
not a word you want associated with strike zones.
yeah, but to that point, Tech may, I'm not going to say guaranteed, but may have been able to walk away even with a sweep on the road, if not for a 3-run inning in which there were, 3 walks given up, and
Yep.
1 hit to score those 3 runs, and after a mound visit in which it was also implied that Brady might be hurting in some way, either he's hurt and you take him out, or he's not, and that's too many walks. And either
Something
way, I
like that.
don't
Yeah.
like how that goes down. So
It was not
all that to
ideal.
say
Yeah.
it could have been a sweep. I think Tech certainly had to put on the theatrics to get it to the series win, though.
I got it somehow. I will note this was terrible pitching conditions on Sunday, at least
Yep.
around Saturday. It wasn't rainy, but it was mid 40s, and eventually just not being able to feel it. That's not feel your
So,
fingers temperature, but 40s is not fun. And there was wind gusts as well, so it certainly felt
yeah.
colder than 40. That's just having done.
And I
Speaking
believe
from
those wind
experience,
gusts were
that
out.
sucks. Gotcha.
I was
Oh,
gonna
that
say I
doesn't
believe
help.
those wind gusts were out too, which also does
Yep,
does
not
not
great.
help.
Yeah, that sucks. Game 3, they sort of went through the same idea of 2 pitchers carrying most of the load. Riley Stanford pitched the first 3 innings, and then Jalen Payton had his longest outing of the season with 3 2/3, only allowed 1 run and 4 strikeouts on 72 pitches, and his ERA is still sub 120. So that was really good to see from Jalen and being able to stretch hit and seeing that we can stretch him.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, I think the like I said, the quality of the pitching staff seems pretty good. I think if anything, it's the starters I wonder about. A theme of the year has been the bullpen's been pretty reliable, but
Yeah,
each
they
of
got
the
they
starters
got to
got
like
tagged for a couple of runs
they got to over
this weekend.
21 consecutive innings scoreless through game one, until because they didn't allow it because Patel didn't allow any runs until and then the bullpen allowed some in game two. So big stuff.
Yeah.
Other note, Drew Burris' homer in game two got him to 30 in his career. He is the fastest to get there of any Georgia Tech player ever. And it was 70 something games, I want to say. And then Kyle Lodis had 3 doubles, 12 total bases to lead all pitchers or all players. Caleb Daniel, the freshman, got the ground rule double to get the 9th inning lead today. So that's fun. Let's see more bats down the lineup to get it done. They have a 13-3 record, and they will face Georgia State on Tuesday. And then Pitt is in town this weekend, who lost a series to East Tennessee State. So, I mean,
and they needed 12 innings to get that third game, as I recall. So it was not a very fun Johnson City weekend for them.
That's all right. Good. Outside of that one Marshall game, for the most part, we have been soundly beating the teams we should be able to beat, and Pitt is one of those teams. For what we've
Two
seen,
Marshall games, but yeah,
2 Marshall games. Oh Jesus, that's right. God damn it, I hate that. Yeah. So I mean, granted, of course, it'd be very tech to lose this series because that's just what we do sometimes. But at least for now, we haven't seen them do that really so far this season. So hoping for more of that. On to softball. They also tight games. 2-1 win on Friday, 5-4 win on Saturday, and then an 11-3 win pounding today to sweep the North Carolina State Wolfpack. Eileen Morales has now eclipsed the 200 win mark as Georgia Tech head coach in her 7+ seasons at Mewborn. Sophia Voiles did really well on Friday, throwing 6 innings. Kenzie Norton cleaned up the game in the 7th inning. Grayson Tucker hit a whole solo homer. She's at 6 for the team lead. Saturday, we got to see Sydney Watts start. Reese Hunter finally got her bat alive. She had 3 hits, including the game-winning hit in the 7th inning. Awesome to see, and she kept it up with a towering homer today as one of the many hits that Tech got today, where Voiles once again just put NC State down, and that was all we needed. Tight as always. Softball, we get some tighter games usually just because of the nature of pitching and whatnot sometimes, but in general, an ACC sweep is a big deal for us.
Yeah, and Tech being 4-2 after 2 weekends, I think is a pretty good spot to be in. NC State is a team that I think I've said this a couple times, but the numbers like them better than their records were last year. But in this league with these teams, you need to clean up at your home stadium against teams that you pencil out very similar to. Even if the ACC winds up being a 7 or 8 bid league this year, you need to be able to put yourself in front of NC State in the pecking order, Pitt, Boston College, Syracuse, even for Virginia, who had a good year last year. You need to be able to say, hey, this is one decision they don't have to make, but make them make their own decisions. So
that makes a lot of sense. They gotta win the ones you should win. I mean, that's the best thing. I think that's still the kind of the hurdle we haven't seen softball fully climb all the way over to get them into a tournament situation. But this at least gets part of that job done. Looking at hitting statistics, Jaden Gailey is still doing awesome at 375. Ileana Gottlieb at 357. Vukadinovic at 344. Grayson Tucker's got over the 300 line at 307 with her 6 home runs. Grace Connolly, I want to say, had a homer this weekend as well, and she's at 2, or at least had a big hit today. And then, Sophia Voiles pitching 177 with a 5-2 record in her 11 appearances. She is still absolutely killing it. Only 12 earned runs. And then, what was it? 56 strikeouts to 22 walks. 2-to-1 strikeout to walk ratio is awesome. Kinsey Norton, obviously ground ball pitcher, so not as many strikeouts, only at 27. I don't think we saw Emma Mangini this weekend. We saw Michaela Caulfield pitching game 2. We saw Sydney Watts pitch. So, it seems like, at least for now, the 4 they're going to rock with through a whole series if they can is Voiles, Norton, Watts, and Caulfield. Let Sophia start games 1 and 3, and then I guess figure it out. Hopefully she can pitch all of game 3, all of game 1. Let Kinsey take care of game 2 along with Sydney, and then go from there and use Caulfield when we need her. So it seems like there's a plan there. It's working for the most part right now. This week's going to be not easy though, at all.
Yeah. Agreed.
We got Auburn coming to town on Wednesday, which I'm bummed I won't be there for. And then softball, for the first time, goes out west and for conference play. They get to play Cal, and they, in fact, will stay longer. They're going to play at St. Mary's on Tuesday, the following Tuesday. So we'll have recorded before that game happens, but they're taking advantage of the road trip and getting another game in while they're out there. And that is not a spring break game. We are not on spring break then. So they are playing on a Tuesday in California, not during Georgia Tech spring break, but the week before, which is interesting. Wait, no, I'm wrong. Sorry, I'm wrong. They are. That is spring break. Sorry, that is spring break for us. That's why they're doing it. So that checks out. That checks out why they're doing it. Any last thoughts before we move on?
Nothing too crazy here. I think if you walk away from this week with 2-2, you got to be pretty happy about that. So
Yeah, I think that'd be good.
coming up, I should say.
Right. We're at least in the top half of the ACC for now. Granted, just a 4-2 record, but hey, we're
ahead of Florida State, who's
Hell
0-0.
well,
Why they're not making the warmest team in the conference play ACC games or host early in the calendar, I don't know, but I didn't make the schedule, so
yeah, you'd think
who
Notre
knows?
Dame would be coming down here or something like that, and those kind of like it's like that makes sense why Pitt Pitt baseball's coming down here this weekend and stuff like that. So,
Yep.
all
Yep.
right, with that, let's hear from Section 103.
Yeah, as always, this podcast is brought to you by Section 103. Section 103 is the best place to find Georgia Tech apparel. Again, section103.com. That's the place to get it. One thing that I like to shout out is that all the gold is actual Georgia Tech gold. That can be somewhat hard to come by, or at least it has been in the past. Remember to go check that out there. Today I'm perusing the clearance rack just because why not? There are a couple former NIL jerseys out there. If you want someone who went out with Georgia Tech as a jacket, Dante Smith, go check out one of his shirts in gold or white. There's also some ATL merch out there too, again in gold and navy. Go check it out. And of course, all of their wonderful wares, section103.com. Use code FTRS 10% off. Tell them we sent you. All right, Jack, what do we got next?
Oh boy, it is women's basketball time, which I know we've got plenty to go on here, particularly about the second game they had this week, and not the first game. The first game, second round of the ACC tournament against Virginia Tech, 72-57 win, just fantastic from all fronts. Had a fantastic second half. Ran away with it with a pretty large run to just, I think it was a 17-0 run to put that game away after it was 50-50-ish for the most part there. So that was awesome to see. Also, they were trending in that direction while they hadn't won while they had come in losing their last four. They had enough positive things to where it's like if they played a team they should be able to beat, they had enough to put it together, and that was that kind of game. So that was awesome to see. And then we face NC State, who is the number one team, seeding wise. Arguably, I'd say Notre Dame probably better than them still, even though North Carolina State did beat Notre Dame this year. But this was a 9-1 game. Tech had an early lead. They got as high as 9 points up in the first quarter, early second, somewhere in the late first, early second, and didn't press the throttle too hard after that. Weren't able to really like push that lead any higher, sadly. But NC State looks sluggish. They look like I was constantly being reminded of the teams that get the number one seed in the MLB playoffs now and just look like crap in their first playoff series because they haven't played in like 6 days. It looked a little bit like that because NC State we had just played. We were feeling good, and NC State just looks sluggish. Kara Dunn, Tony Morgan both had 21 points. I think Dunn was a rebound off. Someone was off a rebound off a triple. No, someone was off a rebound off a double. Anyways, they both had double doubles in the game. We honestly played better than NC State. Like we looked like the better team. And this came down to final minute refereeing and fouls being called and turnovers and stuff like that, to where we lost by 1 at the very end because we had the ball at the end of the game with 7 seconds, no timeouts to get a shot off, and we literally did not shoot the ball at all. And then we lost by 1. We would have been the second team in ACC tournament history as a 9 seed to beat the 1 if we had pulled it off. Ironically, NC State is the only team to actually have done that. And I mean, we really had a chance. Like we played up to a number. Not super well performing top 10 team in the country, and it was just the little things again just killed us there, and just little moments that have been those little moments have been problems for Tech this year, and it was once again the problem here.
Yeah, I think well, one, I do want to note real quick that the Virginia Tech win felt like exercising demons as much as anything.
It's true.
So I will say that and give them their flowers there. I can't really quibble too much with the NC State performance. And NC State's a quite frankly a
They're
better,
awesome.
more
They're
talented
awesome.
team. They're
Yeah.
really really good, and their coaching staff is phenomenal too. And I don't want that to get lost in the mix here. I think you could probably quibble with the way the game was called, much as Virginia Tech and Georgia Tech were quibbling with the strike zone in the baseball game. I think it was a bit abstract. Your mileage may vary there.
Yep.
In terms of it all, man, it just felt like if Tech was going to win this, they had a really good shot against UNC, and in a championship game format after that, who knows what happens. And I
Right.
don't know. I just want a trophy, Jack. I feel like it's been a long time since we've gotten an ACC title in just about anything. So
I mean, we have one
I'm
since
greedy. What can I
we've got
say?
one since either of us went to school, and that was the one we were both at school for the COVID ACC title that the men
There's
got.
there's a bunch of golf ones in there too, so that's good at least.
Did they win
But
an ACC championship? I guess
a
they have.
couple of them. They won like two or
Oh,
three
that's right.
years in a row when I was in school.
That's
So,
right. That's right. That's right.
but it I don't know. Just feels like Tech's due in something, and this was maybe they had a shot, maybe they didn't. I don't know. That's putting the cart way ahead of the horse. I think at the end
But
of the day, you got to know that there's 7 seconds left. You got to at least get a bad shot off like that. That's
something,
the
yeah.
one thing where I'm like, just give it a heave. Like
I know Tony took the ball up on that. We had to use our timeouts. I think Nell used them wisely to stem any big runs that North Carolina State could potentially have, and the fourth one she used earlier in the fourth quarter was necessary. So I don't blame her. I don't think there's anything wrong with running out of timeouts in this situation. But yeah, I don't think we've had a situation like this year where we needed to get a last second bucket like this to put us over or to tie a game like this. So we hadn't. I don't know if they've run it. I don't know what the hell. But either way, Tony got guarded pretty hard, wasn't able to get around her defender, and Danny got the ball with 2 seconds left and didn't seem to know there was 2 seconds left based on how she was approaching it. I don't know what happened there, but she just was way too slow on getting the shot off, and she was pretty closely guarded too. So just not, in the end, not a great run of play. Uh, yeah. So wish could have been better. Anyways, also that came out last week. Kara Dunn, first team All ACC, super well deserved. She was Tech leading scorer and leading just about everything. Danny Carnegie got ACC Sixth Player of the Year coming off the bench this year, which that makes so much sense. And Tony Morgan got second team All ACC. We were definitely I think in terms of historically the strength of a 9 seed. We were one of the strongest 9 seeds to probably ever play in this
Yep.
tournament. Like this, like Nell talked about it all the time. This was a loaded conference. The fact we were a 9 seed does not pan out schematically to what people would think a 9 seed would be in terms of talent. Like VT as an 8, definitely it just worked out that they were the 8 because of our game earlier this year. But AB Tech was probably the talent of at least a 5 seed in this tournament, knowing who the rest of these teams were. So just crummy that it turned out this way, that they had to draw North Carolina State in the quarterfinals, flip a couple of games, and we're talking about something very different here, probably at least a semifinal appearance. So, anyways, so right now, looking ahead, they are pretty much a lock for the NCAA tournament in terms of an at-large bid. Right now, at 22-10 record. Lately, Charlie Cream, the main ESPN WM women's basketball bracketologist, has had Tech in the 8-9 seed range. Right now, he has us as a 9 seed playing Creighton in Austin, Texas. That'd be very rude if they went there next week, because I will be there this week and then won't be able to see them play basketball when I'm in Texas. It'd be cool if that just didn't happen and they go somewhere else. My hope and prayer, I base this off of no facts whatsoever. I just know that UCLA and USC probably going to get 1 seeds. I want us to go there so that we don't go to South Carolina, win a game, and then have to play South Carolina. Danny Carnegie goes off, Don Staley sees it, and then guess who's no longer on our team because Don Staley dropped the bag.
You guys have been stressed about this one all year. That's
It's
if I
halfway.
was putting a cart before a horse with the title thing, that this is
It's
like
mostly a joke.
eight carts.
I know it's mostly. I know this. He has this very unlikely. Danny's sister went to Tech anyway. Older sister went to Tech anyway. So I'm not really worried about this at all. It's just I know this can happen now is the thing. This used to not even be a thought, but we've seen some big time women's basketball players move around now with the NIL era, and so it's like it can happen. And of all places, South Carolina's got as many resources as anyone else in women's basketball. So I just don't want to I just don't want Dawn to see our team because I know we're going to be really good next year with who we got. So we will find out next Sunday who we play. So we're recording Sunday the 9th. It'll be Sunday the 16th where we find out where Tech is going in the NCAA tournament. It'll be our first games there since 2022 with the Kubai, Lodomai Latin, and Sarah Bates team and all that, and Nuria Hermosa. On to the guys. They had an awesome midweek game to finish out their home slate against Miami, winning 89-74. Granted, Miami in a very weird state with their coach having left early in the season, and it just not life isn't great for them down there, which sucks for them, but at least got us a win. Lance Terry had a career high 31 points in that game first during senior night, which was super cool. He was trying to get he knew he had his career high mid game. He confirmed to us he was trying to get his career high in threes, but just couldn't pull that one off. But that was our 7th win in our last 9 games leading up to that. And Nate George in that game became the first jacket with double-digit assists in consecutive games since Javaris Crittenden in 2007. So
Woo.
man dishing it out really well. Who was it? Oh, Emmer Nichols apparently had in 2 games ago had outscored Nate George because Nate had 1 2-point bucket and Emmer Nichols hit a 3-point bucket in that blowout game against NC State. So that was just the life of Nate George. Sometimes he's shooting, sometimes he don't need to shoot, which is awesome. That game also guaranteed our first 500, or at least 500 record season since our last tournament team, which is amazing that this even happened, knowing where we were earlier this year. And then here's the thing: we covered this in our chat. Coming into this week, we needed 4 things to happen. We needed to beat Miami. We needed to beat Wake Forest. Stanford needed to lose to Notre Dame and and Louisville. Odds of that was about 50-50 we calculated, and 3 of the 4 things happened. Of course, we just did the perfect thing that we always do, which is go in an important game, score our season low points with 43 at a 69-43 loss to Wake Forest yesterday, in which nothing went right at all.
Yeah, it was not a fun watch. I don't have a lot to say. I don't know. We're gonna go play Virginia. We have not beaten them since yours truly was still a high school student, so that's fun. But if there's any year, just like I said before we played them, that they're gettable, this is now. And Georgia Tech just had its brain fart, head scratching loss. So maybe they play a game, get a win out of this. If you could go 1-1 in the tournament, one early win and then go 1-1 with like some sort of upset, you're talking NIT bid at least. And that would be a successful year. If they can get to play 3 games here, that would be an unquestioned success. But it would essentially mean that they're a semifinal team, and we've seen them knock off Clemson. We've seen them knock off Louisville, but I don't know. I don't know about that second game. But again, carts and horses.
So that's the thing. We really needed to beat Wake Forest because as the 8 seed, 8 seed's not bad. We playing Virginia, who's the 9 seed, and they are gettable. We continually don't get them. They just beat us the crap out of us for how many years have they beat us in a row? For like, when was the last time we beat them? Not recently, right?
It was 2016, I believe.
That's
spring
2016
was.
That's 9 years ago. Jesus Christ. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, we haven't beat Virginia in a long time. Now would be great. We play them Wednesday at noon. The thing is because we're the 8 seed, we would play Duke if we win this game. And Mr. Flag is not exactly slowing down at all, or anyone else in that team, or Knuffel and the rest of those guys. And having seen Cooper play in person when they came to McCamish, that guy's the real freaking deal. So that'll be a tall task to get past Duke if we do end up getting past Virginia. Right now, Bart Torvik has our game against Virginia as a coin flip. Has us winning 67-66. So it's going to have to just be a game where we are on our game. Obviously, Ndongo's going to have to play well. George going to have to play well. We're going to need a lot of shooting. Basically what we saw against Miami, which is just crushing it on the boards, getting outside shots when we can, and being able to mix and match what we need to do. So, and playing with some serious intensity. The Wake Forest game had some weird reffing stuff happening as well, because, of course, that's what happens in the ACC. So, overall, I mean, right now, I think regardless what happens in the ACC tournament, I'm very happy with how this season ended. I mean, this is a high note no matter what. If they had another crappy loss against Virginia, we finished with two bad losses at the end. That kind of suck. But we know we're finishing 500, and that I feel knowing we had half the team in a boot during when we could have picked up some more wins. That just feels like institutionally like a win for us, knowing the recruiting class we got coming in as well.
Yeah, I mean, just finish strong. Don't get pantsed by Virginia. That would be a good way to go. And the fact that we've been able to trend up and kind of close the season on at least a relatively positive note compared to where we were at with these guys, I can't ask
Take it.
for too much more than that. So
Yeah, we'll take it. That game against Virginia is Wednesday at noon. They are playing this game in Charlotte, North Carolina this time, not Greensboro, or they played in DC last year. But yeah, this is the first time they're doing it in Charlotte as part of the rotation that they're doing with the championships in North Carolina. On to men's tennis, they played. We had mentioned this was the crummiest travel schedule, and Jake, we forgot to mention last week about daylight saving time today, which meant that the 10 a.m. Boston College match was probably even worse considering waking up today probably sucked for everyone around the country. But they did get past SMU 4-3 and then beat Boston College 4-0. SMU was purely singles wins from Brancatelli, Chris Aurora, Christoph Clement, and Giancarlo Carlini. Boston College, Brancatelli and Clement won their first sets. Carlini finished in the third set to win. I think Chris Aurora was still in the second set in his match before Carlini got the job done in the third set. We had won the doubles point as well. So those are, for a team as good as us, feels like the necessary wins to pull off in conference play.
well, and like I've said at other times on this podcast, the resource delta between Georgia Tech and Boston College in non-revenue sports makes the resource delta between, say, UGA and Georgia Tech in football look like child's play.
Right.
So just know that the swimming, tennis, all that stuff, you should be beating Boston College handily. So
Yep. The women, the number 27 women in the country, oh man, they almost did it. They almost did it. They almost beat Duke. They were so freaking close. They got to a third set in their final match of this. They had it 3-3 after losing the doubles point and just could not pull it off on the Friday where we lost where every game was a one or two. It was a 1 point run or game, I guess, to put it that way. I'm trying to pull up who actually it was that was the last match here. The final match was, let's see here. Singles. Oh, it was Emma Jackson beat Given Roach. Oh man. Okay, so Given Roach had won the first set 6-3, lost in a tiebreak in the second set, and then lost 6-3 in the third. So that sucks. We had won as Harold Nicholson won her match. Alejandra Cruz lost to the number 13 player in the country. Okay, understandable. And then we had let's see. Oh, we did win the doubles point. Sorry, I was wrong. We did win the doubles point, so that was pretty big. Given Roach and Cruz won in a tiebreak in that to pull that point off. So, I mean, we don't usually get this close to Duke in tennis, so that was awesome. That's awesome to see that we got it. We pushed it this far, and then we lost to North Carolina 4-0, and that was not close. So, it happens. Happens.
would have been great to get one, but that's life.
The guys have Duke and North Carolina this week at home. Duke on the men's side is ranked number 11th in the country. North Carolina is way down the rankings, so it's not the exact copy of the women. And the women have the week off, so they will get a break this week. Swim and dive. We will find out next week what the deal is there with the zones. Oh, we have something. Okay,
We have news.
Oh,
We have
okay.
news, Jack. The news is Max Fowler is in the 1 meter dives. He took first in the prelims and then finished second in the finals. So not only is Max Fowler in, but all 5 tech relays qualify.
Oh, we're about to have 15 dudes at this meet now. Hell yeah, let's go.
So we're still waiting on swimming times and things like that. And also Fowler has the potential to also qualify in the 3 meter and the platform. So that would be a lot.
Hell yes.
But yeah, and just kind of looking next couple days, he'll be in action in the 3 meter tomorrow. The women's 1 meter name to look for there, Anna Bradescu, is also in action tomorrow, and then 3 meter on Tuesday for the women. Platform for the men. Max Fowler's also. Oh, he's not doing the platform. My apologies.
Okay,
Just the 1 and the 3. and then Anna Bradescu on Wednesday will be in the platform. So those are the big ones to look out for. Elijah Clyer, I believe he'll be doing the platform on Tuesday. So maybe one to keep
Gotcha.
a meaningful glance at. So.
Max Fowler is our best shot at any form of an NCAA title this year, in any
Yes.
form. Like, I mean, yes, Hiroshi Tai still plays golf for Georgia
I was
Tech.
about to say, isn't Hiroshi still here? Like
He is still here. He's just a junior, but golf is hard as hell considering the competition, and you just got to be playing right for those 3 days in May. But yeah, no, Max Fowler is without a doubt our best shot we've got right now at one of his events. So hey, we're in. We got our guys in. We got stuff to watch in 2 weeks at very late o'clock at night now. For the meet down in Washington. So that's awesome. Good to hear. Good to see that. Club Lacrosse had a couple of wins this week. They beat Tennessee 15-10 and UConn 15-3 today on Senior Day. That's awesome to see. A nice crummy. It was a crummy day on campus weather-wise, so but glad to see them beating up on UConn. We had mentioned Eva on Survivor earlier in the episode. She is still alive. I'm not gonna.
I watched this week.
Hey, how about
Yeah.
that? It's
Yeah.
It was an interesting week for Eva. I'm not gonna try to do too many spoilers because I know some people probably may want to watch. I got coverage on the website, so my more in-depth thoughts are there.
Can I say something real noobish? Because this is the only place I have the safe space to do that.
Yes.
That one tribe, not hers. The one tribe is just so bad.
The green
They're
one,
so bad.
That green one sucks. Yeah, they're not.
It's like they stapled together 5 just inept people, and I was like, they're so bad.
I've got an hour on the inept tribes that have existed in the last 5 years on this show, and just how hilarious it's there. There's a lot of theory. I wouldn't be surprised if there is a final 3 person from that tribe. I'll put it that way, just because of how this show usually plays out now. But anyways, go watch Survivor. It's the 50th season's coming up because that show's been around now for 25 years and they're approaching season 50. So it's a fun time to get involved if you haven't been able to watch. It's a good family show as well. And this was a big week for construction on campus as well. The cycle path still keeps getting completed in various spots. There's still sidewalks getting finished and everything like that. So it's becoming by day becoming safer and safer for all pedestrians and bicyclists and skateboarders and all the kind of lovely people. But the Fanning Center topped out. They put the final top steel beam in 2 days ago. So that's good to see. There was a little ceremony for that. You can still actually see the beam right now. I drove by it today. There was a quote groundbreaking for the new dorm that's in the northwest part of campus. It's been under construction for about a month and a half or 2 months now, but it is called the Curran dorm. There will be 800 plus new beds in there. It also much needed housing. I know Jake does not like what it looks like in terms of the outside style, and I don't think you really like the new.
Jack, I'm gonna say 3 words: vernacular red brick. It is the keystone that ties the visual identity of Georgia Tech together, so much so that they embed it into every sidewalk. Every sidewalk.
Yes,
and you know what?
With
West Village, they're like, who needs red brick? Let's just use yellow brick. Clearly they had never walked around before. And then with Curran Street, they're like, we'll go back to red, but we're gonna make it this like shimmery new age material. It looks like renderite for all my planning nerds out there, just like a mysterious material that they made up just for a cool looking render. But I don't know. For those that know, the Omni, they built that one to like permanently like rust together. It looks like it's made out of like Omni steel. That's the vibe I get.
Man. I wasn't even alive for the Omni, and I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yep.
So that happened. So the thing is, though, is there will be more beds on campus in terms of raw number. They are going to take Smith and Howell offline immediately after Curran opens up next fall because those need to get renovated as well. So there is going to be what it seems to be. At least I know Smith. They have talked about they're definitely redoing it, but it seems like they will probably over the next few years just work down Techwood and just fix up all those buildings because they are old as hell and definitely need the work. So,
Jack, I got one really random thing that I need to throw in before we go off the air because it got me going like, huh? Boston College, who's 6-6 in baseball right now, not particularly good last year either, took a series from Virginia, who you might know as being
very
really good. So
eyes
on that. I believe that was on the road too. So Yeah, just ACC news. That's certainly relevant to that there. But yeah,
That's
so
good to know. We played Virginia this year at home in the end of April. We do not play Boston College at all. So
I emoji, I emoji, I emoji.
there
There
we
you
go.
go.
And then lastly, on construction on campus, the Pathway of Progress installation was had their ribbon cutting ceremony on Saturday. This is the not memorial, but installation on campus that recognizes the achievements and significant contributions of women to Georgia Tech and a lot of our famous graduates. It's a very cool structure with a lot of hexagons meant to just be a space where it'll be added to over time with many of the famous graduates, female graduates from Tech. So it's awesome little thing.
The, the history section that they have right at the start
Yeah.
is arguably the best publicly available history of Georgia Tech resource that exists out there right now.
Yeah.
They need to
yeah.
do more of that for more groups and schools and things like that. But if you're just curious or you're history minded or anything like that, the first, I guess, swirly bit that's on the ground is phenomenal. I had the chance to walk through there. It looks really good too. I think
It
it'll be
sounds like
really
you give
neat
it.
once the trees start to grow in a little bit too. It's when they finish something, it looks a little bit barren, but a really good addition. So
It's good.
excited to see that grow in. So.
It's fun. Mayor Dickens did show up for the ceremony as well, so we got a little bit. So we got a lot of. And there's so many of like the first cheerleader, the first SGA, like so many firsts of the females of Tech, female graduates of Tech were there for the ceremony. So it was a lot of who's who and of the female history of the institute, which was really cool just to be in the presence
Relevant.
of.
I was going to say relevant to us as a sports podcast. Really, one of the first pioneers that isn't around in terms of women's history at Tech is Shirley Clements Mewborn herself.
Yep.
So
Yep.
Keep her in mind when you look at that too. But the crazy thing is, so many of those notable alumni
Yep.
are still with us and have a lot to offer. So really cool
Yeah.
to see them.
Yeah, it was really cool. It sounded like you were giving me work with adding history things to campus, and I know exactly.
Yeah,
But
that
we'll get to it
Mr.
eventually.
Alumni Association. Come on,
We'll get there. We'll get there. We'll get there
yeah.
eventually. So, all right, we are
cool.
about to clock an hour exactly, and my throat needs some honey tea, so I'm gonna call it a day here.
Sounds good to me. In the meantime, you can find us from the rumbleseat.com. You can email us from the rumbleseat at gmail.com. You can find me and Jack and FTRS on Blue Sky at FTRS blog at Jake Grant 98 at Jack Nicholas. You can find Section 103 at section103.com. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at From the Rumble Seat. You can find this podcast wherever fine podcasts are distributed. Remember, tell your friends. And also, if you're a Georgia Tech person and you want to come on like the Hockey Boys or many of our other guests, we'd love to have you. So come, send us an email, and also keep in mind that we've got summer again coming up soon. So don't forget to send us your deep dives, and we'll get on those when the time rolls around. We got a lot of sports till then, though. So good night, good luck, and go Jackets.
Go to a hockey game.